Greetings, everyone. This is Richard Krivo with our trading session for October 7th, 2015. And regarding the charts that I'll be using, if you have any questions on those, any of the questions on indicators I use on the charts or why they're set up the way they are, please refer to the YouTube video dated May 11th. It's entitled Chart Tutorial for an Explanation. And if you have any questions on the charts or any questions on anything that I mentioned this evening, feel free to email me at rkrivofx@gmail.com. Also, if you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter. rkrivofx is my Twitter handle. Now, you might have noticed the title here, Interpreting Mixed Signals. And this video is going to be a little different than drilling down the charts. Because as some of you may have noticed, for our style of trading, longer term, it seems like many of the pairs are in a state of flux, a transition, perhaps a trend change, perhaps a full-blown trend change is going to occur. But right now, some of the charts are a little more challenging, a little more difficult to interpret. So I wanted to show you a little bit about how I go about identifying those situations and then what I do during times such as these. I was hoping that might be beneficial to you. With that, let's take a quick look at our disclaimers. And those are trading foreign exchange involves significant levels of risk, may not be suitable for all investors. You should only be trading with risk capital, money that you can lose. And there's a high degree of leverage. That leverage can work for you as well as against you. And the content provided is for informational and educational purposes only, is not intended as any type of a specific trading recommendation. Okay, hang on one second, and I'm going to bring up the charts we're going to be using. Okay, as I've been scrolling through the charts the last couple of days and this evening specifically, I've identified a few pairs that are in a situation, if you will, that puts me back a little bit, makes me stand back a little bit, and they're sending mixed signals, hence the title of the webinar a little bit. And what we've got here is, for example, on the New Zealand US dollar, weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour chart. And what I can see here, for those of you that follow me and know how to interpret the Donchian channels, if you don't, email me, rkrivofx@gmail.com. We have an open sell situation on the weekly chart because price action has continually been taking out the lower Donchian channel, hasn't touched the upper Donchian channel. So we're looking at an open sell on the weekly chart, and we're looking at an open buy on the daily chart. Price has touched the lower channel, and now it's taking out the upper channel continually. So we're getting a sell signal, in effect, from the weekly chart based on the Donchian channel strategy. We're getting a buy signal on the daily chart. We also can see on the weekly chart, price action is below the 200 period moving average. And we can also see on the daily chart, price action is below the 200 period moving average as well. As we move down to our lower charts, lower time frame charts, because that's where we always look for entry opportunities in the direction of the trend, which we're getting mixed signals on right now, we can see price action is making higher highs and higher lows, taking out the upper Donchian channel continually on the 4-hour. We can also see price action is trading above the 200 period moving average and moving away from it on the 4-hour chart. We can see the same thing occurring on the 1-hour chart. Higher highs, higher lows, price trading above. Okay, what do we do in this situation? Okay, I like confirmation. If anything, I'm probably overly cautious, and I'm fine with that. What I'd be looking for, because it appears at this point that price action, even though it hasn't taken out the upper channel, here on the weekly chart, and it's still got some stiff resistance up here at about 67.04. The pair is trading about 100 pips below that right now. If it takes out that level right above this wick here, which would be about, let's say 67.15, right about in that area, then we've got a situation where, even though it hasn't taken out the upper channel, we've got a situation where price is making higher highs and higher lows on the weekly chart. Not doing that yet. And that would put the weekly chart in concert with the daily chart, which would then be in concert with the 4-hour, the 1-hour chart, multiple time frame analysis. Ideally, what I'd like to see in this situation on this specific pair would be for price to move down more and take out or touch that lower channel. We had a little retracement here, not much. and I'd like to see that price action pull down to that level and then start to move back up again. And that way we'd have a pullback and on a lower time frame chart and price moving in the direction of the trend that we're seeing on the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly. Right now, personally, I'm not interested in trading the pair. Again, we're longer time frame traders. I am anyway, and I assume a lot of you who are watching this are. So for a longer time frame situation, I want to see more commitment. I'm just not in this trade. I'm not going to get in this trade for 20, 30 pips or something like that. I'll leave that to the shorter term traders, and that's fine. That's their stock in trade. This is my stock in trade, longer term. Okay, let's look at another pair that I identified, the Euro Canadian. Okay, takes out the upper channel on the daily, takes out the lower channel on the daily. So we've got an open sell situation on the daily, but we've still got price action not touching the lower channel on the weekly. So we've got an open buy signal here, we've got an open sell signal here, conflicting. Okay, what's a trader to do? These are the type of situations where I stand back a little bit. I want the market to kind of sort itself out a little bit before I jump in. Now, admittedly, this looks like it potentially could be the beginning of a move to the downside. We've got a lower high on the daily chart. We're starting to we did make lower lows in through here, but still there's a lot of choppiness going down here. So I want a little more confirmation. If I were a very aggressive trader and I'd be seeing that, okay, we're starting to move to the downside here as far as the daily chart goes, and the euro is weaker than the Canadian dollar at this point. We had a little bit of a pullback here on the 1 hour. It didn't touch the upper Donchian channel. If I were an aggressive trader, I might be setting a price alarm right below that wick on the 1 hour chart at about 43. Where was it? About 46, 42. Set a price alarm, and that potentially would be about a 100 pip move to the downside if that plays out. See, because right now we've got price action here just kind of oscillating. And it made a lower low here, but it left behind a long wick, and maybe it's going to turn to the upside. We don't know. That's why I like to wait for a little more confirmation in situations like this. Let's look at the Aussie Swiss. Okay, on the weekly chart, took out the lower channel, still hasn't touched the upper channel, trading below the 200 period moving average. So we have an open sell situation on the weekly chart. And on the daily chart, you can see, took out the lower channel, took out the upper channel right here. So we've got an open buy situation on the daily chart. Sell, buy. Okay, let's let things sort themselves out a little bit more. And on the lower time frame charts, we have the price action making, excuse me, higher highs, higher lows, and trading above the 200. And we've got higher highs and higher lows on the 1 hour, trading above the 200 as well. Again, I like to let the things sort themselves out a little bit. Things jump out at me every once in a while, like here. It's moving higher. We're still not in an open buy on the weekly. Potentially, if this move to the upside, we've got a long wick, long pin bar down there. If that would continue, potentially, there's maybe 230, 240 pips in there. And price action here, we've got, it didn't really take out the lower channel, but it came pretty close. And we've got a situation where, again, potentially a couple hundred pips. On the strong weak analysis, the Aussie is stronger than the Swiss franc, not by a whole heck of a lot, but it is stronger. And so that could be a potential setup. But again, I like to let things sort themselves out a little bit. Another example, let me sneak in here something a little different. Euro yen currency pair. Here's an example of a market and what the charts look like when the market's trying to make up its mind a little bit, again, for longer term traders. Okay, open buy, because it touched the upper channel on the weekly, hasn't touched the lower channel. Close, but hasn't touched it yet. So we're looking at an open buy situation on the weekly, And on the daily, we've got an open sell situation. Touched the upper channel, took out the lower, moved down, hasn't touched the upper channel yet. So here we've got an open buy, here we've got an open sell. Pretty close in both areas. And we can see here, like price action here is definitely trading above the 200 period moving average on the weekly. But as we go to the daily chart, it's above, it's below, it's above, it's below, it's above. This is what I mean where a market is trying to make up its mind in this particular situation. And these are the situations where I kind of stand aside, patience and discipline. Cash is a position. I know it's frustrating to traders because one of the things about trading and calling yourself a trader is, geez, I'm supposed to be trading. Well, longer term trading strategies, all types of trading strategies, you might not get the signals that you want to see to put you in a trade on a regular basis, on a daily basis. That's entirely possible, and that's okay. Now, one thing I noticed when I was looking at this pair earlier, hang on one second. I want to add a line here. That's not it. There we are. And something, after you've been looking at charts for a long time, let's make this a little thicker. And let's draw another line here. I also have an article, informational video on YouTube based on an article that I did a while back on trading triangle patterns. Let's expand this a little bit. And we can see price is forming a triangle here on this euro-yen daily chart where price has touched, not quite reached that upper line yet, and it may not. And so we've got 3 touches below and 2 touches above, and price is trading on either side, like I said, of that 200 period moving average, trying to make up its mind. Price is coiling up tighter and tighter inside this triangle. And the way we're going to trade a triangle pattern is we're looking for a close outside of the upper line or outside the lower line, a candle close, not just a wick below, because that can be inaccurate. I mean, nothing's a guarantee, but I like to see a close above, and then I would be in a buying situation, or a close below, and then I would be in a selling situation on this pair. This is a different strategy than we normally use, but trading triangles is a viable way to trade. The idea is, let's say, for example, price closes above on this next candle right here. This is today's daily candle. Let's say price closes above, and my spot then would be, what I would do then is I could open an order and I put the stop below the lower triangle, the lower line of the triangle. Now that can be a pretty dicey stop, because let's say if my entry is here and I put my stop below, that's about 215 pips. So keep money management in mind. We'll do a session on money management coming up. But this is a market right now, like I say, trading mixed signals. It's not true on all pairs, but there's enough pairs that looks like there may be a transition coming up here, and we might be in the middle of it at this point. And if so, I just wanted you to know how to handle that situation. Stand aside, let the market make up its mind, let the pair make up its mind, let the market sort itself out. Exercise patience and discipline. You don't have to be in a trade every minute of every day. You don't even have to be in a trade every day. And remember, cash is a position. It's okay to sit on it and preserve it. Okay, thanks very much for attending. Shoot any email questions that you have to me at rcrivofx@gmail.com. Thanks for being here. Bye now.